I'm Jessica.
I'm Sonia.
And I'm Damarie.
And we are Opinionated Lushes. Like our name says, we drink too much and have an opinion on everything.
Once a week, we get together to drink and talk shit. We start our episodes off with a question and a drink word. We usually never stay on topic or wait for the drink word to start drinking.
So go ahead, grab a drink, any kind of drink, and get ready to laugh with us and share our drunken opinions.
Hey!
Hi.
I think that was like the smoothest transition in Alive that we've had.
We're getting there.
We're practicing, man. We're so close. So close.
So
to
close.
Professionals. Yep.
One day.
So we are live streaming this episode. So hello, internet world out there. Live real time.
Interwebs.
We do have a guest today, so I'm just gonna bring him on and he can talk a little bit about himself before we get going. So this is someone I've known for a bit as an internet friend. Saw him play live once. This is Jimmy Ruffian of the Rough Go podcast and music project. Hello, Jimmy.
Hello. Yes, I am the host of the Rough Report podcast, and I sing and write and do everything in the Rough Go, which I have an album coming out very soon called Luxury Bones and Peasant Food, and that's basically what I got going on right now. I was actually shooting my video today. That's why I'm all in the makeup. We had a green screen set up, which was tricky because of the color of my hair. We had to be very careful with how we lit that. But yeah, so that's why I'm all dolled up tonight.
I thought that was for us.
Now we're sad.
I mean, it is. I didn't take it off. So,
okay. I appreciate.
Yeah.
Jimmy, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Jameson. Actually, to be precise, I don't know if you show or we're allowed to show labels or whatever. But I don't completely understand what this is because to me it tastes like regular Jameson, but it says on here Jameson in like Dickies. It's some sort of cross promotion of Dickies.
It's like a sportswear.
I don't. Yeah, Dickies is workwear. I wear Dickies pants at work. They are
so
great
does my
pants,
husband.
and I'm not being paid to say that. They're just nice. But I don't understand what the cross promotion is because it's not like a different kind of Jameson. It's just Jameson, but the label's different.
They just paid for logo space.
I don't know.
All our alcohol bottles are gonna look like race cars. You know, just logos patched everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like the race car driver jackets. Yeah.
And Jessica, what are you drinking tonight?
You go.
Oh.
Dawn's so serious about her job, okay?
I'd like to do my job, Sonia.
It's like there can be no other conversation.
Sonia, go
What do you think this is? It's a podcast.
I got one freaking job. Do you not take this from me?
Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm drinking
Pabst
Blue Ribbon Strong, and I'm apparently known for this now. It's the cheapest beer with like the most percentage alcohol that doesn't taste like something that I don't want in my stomach.
Like OE? Like, remember, did you ever do Old English?
No,
that's a high alcohol. It's basically it's malt liquor, but it's like just awful tasting beer, which is
I hate like dark beers, stouts, like anything like that. I love IPAs, but like that's just expensive. So I want
the good ones
cheap.
Are.
Yeah, so I want like cheap that'll get me drunk and still kind of taste like beer.
Yeah. All right.
Sonia, what are you drinking tonight?
I wasn't even going to say what I was drinking. I wanted to point out that Jimmy joined us for pre-drinking, and he was like gulping down his like straight alcohol. Okay, like
I'm pretty far in the bag already.
Like he was not messing around. He was just like,
So if you want to hear that,
I was making light slips. Light slips. See, I'm already slurring my words. Light sips.
You had to refill your cup several times, so I don't think they were
in
that
15
least twice.
minutes.
It
wasn't even 15
but
minutes.
like I was filling it like shot. Like this is like a little glass, and I was filling it about like yay high. Yeah,
it's still a lot.
I
want to point
whiskey,
that out.
yeah.
But I'm drinking rum, and I see this was full, 32 ounces, and it's almost gone.
Yeah, this pre-drinks episode fucked us up. So
I wasn't even drinking that much.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I was just drinking for fun, I guess.
So if you want to see and hear those episodes, they're available on our Patreon, even at the lowest tier. Gotta always plug it in, you know.
All right, and I will tell you what I'm drinking, which is my bag of booze.
I love those things.
Bag of booze.
It has a tap. Yep. And I put it in my like huge ass mug, and which is almost gone, so I'm gonna have to like refill soon.
And you lost at
I know, and I lost at Sneeds,
so that
guys.
means you
Like,
had
I lost.
41 drinks plus 5. You drank
41
a lot.
freaking
I came
drinks.
so close to losing. I
know,
got that magic workaround cure.
See, it
that
just
I
flips
got.
like that, and I was like almost winning, and then it was like, no, we're gonna just switcheroo.
Yeah.
It was so mean to us. Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so we have a new way we're choosing our topics now. Instead of just pulling them from a jar, we now have a wheel.
Holy cow! What a wheel!
Yeah, there's like
Good
enough.
wheel.
What was it? Enough for 2 years?
2 years of
podcast?
content right
Yeah.
here. So after we're
Holy
done this, guys, our podcast
So it's never
is
going to
over.
choose the same thing twice.
No,
Right.
it removes
Okay.
it. It takes
Okay.
it right out. So
Cool.
yeah. So whatever it is, Jimmy, I'm sorry in advance.
All right, here we go.
It's going.
What?
Oh,
This is fucking
Totally
deep.
behind.
Oh,
depressing.
It knew Jimmy had an
Heavy
album coming out.
existential stuff.
Yeah.
Who starts?
Whoever has an idea first.
If you
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, I guess like my music. That's what I kind of hope to leave behind. Even if a small audience of people ever get exposed to it, it would be nice to know that people out there liked it. And that would be about it. I don't have kids yet. I don't know. It's something I haven't eliminated from the board, but
Yeah.
but
I always like highly not recommend. And
Yeah, don't do it.
yeah. If
It's a
you like
scheme.
doing things, don't do that.
that's the thing. My partner Nat, she got her tubes tied, and she doesn't have kids, and yeah, so she never plans on having them. But we are like a non-monogamous couple, and so we do the polyamory thing, and we've talked about like if I were to have kids extraditional to the relationship, how we make that work. So again, it's not completely off the table, but it's just like, I don't know if it'll ever happen, and I've never considered an extremely high priority. So
Do you feel that you're neurodivergent at all?
I've never been tested, but I have my reasons to perhaps
Again,
so.
highly don't recommend because it's genetic and you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Like
I have so much genetic shit wrong with me too. Like I got
Right?
I got psoriasis. That's genetic. I don't even know where in my family I got that from, but it's apparently genetic. Yeah. And
So you don't want to add to the plate, right? Like,
yeah.
This poor like fictional child will just like,
I didn't know half the shit that was wrong with me until after I had children and they had shit wrong with them. And then they're like, oh yeah, can we test your blood? Can we test your
I mean, we all got
some,
right? Somebody's got to have kids. And there's probably people with a lot worse problems than any of us that are doing it too. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tell my kids if they want to have kids, they should because one of them is a carrier for cystic fibrosis. So like if you plan on having kids, you should definitely do it the way of planning. Don't wing it.
Yes.
Do genetic testing first, because that's
and
like
just make sure
something.
you can handle it. Like there's nothing wrong with having any
Oh,
sort of
no.
disabled
No.
child.
That's
It's
always been the caveat I would have kids if it was financially viable.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not for me right now.
And
I don't think it's for anyone.
Hey,
yeah,
if
for
you're
anyone. Yeah.
neurodivergent, let me tell you that doubling up of the wait list, like I'm still on it.
Yeah,
Is Caleb still on
Oh
it?
God. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
I
been
just
years.
okay, so he got his testing and his diagnosis at like in 2020. And last I checked on the OAP website is that they're starting to roll out for 2018.
18.
And I'm like, we got years. Like, I'm going to be off the list. Like, he's going to age out before we even see a dime. So there's no point.
That's
Yeah.
We
It's
got
disgusting.
accepted, but I
idea.
moved out of the province.
So you said your music. I
Mhm.
just wanted to say, like, the cool thing about like especially leaving like some content behind is you
Mhm.
never know who's gonna find it when you're dead.
right.
Okay, so like when I die, look through all my files. Like seriously, there's probably some fucked up shit that look through it. Cause like I'm curious to see what sticks. Like what someone's like, oh, was interesting. Like
yeah.
yeah.
I love diving into like music in the past that not a lot of people have necessarily heard, and I have stumbled upon some like weird and wonderful things in that obscure world of like decades old music that was even obscure in its time and never got a cult following necessarily, but you just like come across this stuff and there's so much tremendous talent that has never been discovered, but is subsequently inspired me. So, even if I could do that much with what I leave behind, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to
Anyone-
think of what I'd like.
what legacy?
Like I
I
already have
already know
kids,
my
and
legacy.
I don't want them to like consider my legacy. It's not good. I want something different. It's like, oh no. I don't know. That's not really something I worry about. Like, when I leave this earth, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna leave behind? Because I'll leave my body behind. Like that's it. Like if it can be donated to science, that's cool. But like that's it. Like
But I thought you wanted to be frozen and like come
I want to
back.
be a robot. Listen. I want to be a robot.
Your cyborg life.
Like
But,
they,
like,
they put
like-
your actual like whole brain into a robot
Yes,
body. Is that
yeah, that'd be amazing. Like brain transfer.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm looking forward to like that sort of cyberpunk thing. If there's one thing that these like obnoxious, ridiculous tech bros are ever going to get us toward, is being able to just like kind of like replace body parts, like a modular sort of thing, and you can just sort of like go on being a cyborg. Yeah, cyborg me up.
But
I'm
see,
down.
I have a slight problem with that, only because the like cyberpunk idea we're thinking of wouldn't actually happen. It'd be more like the genetic opera type shit where like
You're probably right. We do live in the darkest timeline. It's
Yeah,
of course it can't
like-
be cool, right?
No,
Yeah,
it's gonna be some corporation's gonna run it. They're gonna sell it for exuberant prices. They're gonna offer loans.
It's gonna be Tesla.
Yeah, and then when
Yeah.
and when you don't fucking pay, they're just gonna come and chop your arm off and take the robot arm back.
Yeah.
or just shut you down.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just gonna refurbish it and sell it
Yeah,
off.
you
to
suddenly
someone
just can't
else.
get out of bed one day, and because your arms and legs are shut off. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I would dream of like it being cool, but it's not gonna be cool. Like we're not gonna get to like Futurama levels. Like and Futurama still had all those problems, but
Yeah.
it was
like
still
or even in Star Wars, they got all those like really cool animatronic limbs, but they're all like kind of very like almost like artisan in a way, and there's no like big corporation really seemingly behind them where it's like interconnected in a network where they like, oh, if you want the feature of giving a thumbs up, you got to pay an extra like $5 a month. Or
Okay.
something.
I know Jimmy doesn't play video games. Okay, not a whole lot. from
Not a
what I've
lot.
seen.
I
Yeah.
play like sometimes like really classic games, but I'm not up on modern.
You need
video
to
games
play.
at all.
I'm recommending this game to everyone because it's one game that me and Sonia both like.
Oh,
Okay.
And it's Outer Worlds.
yes.
Right.
Outer
Okay.
Worlds.
I think
I
I've
love
heard of
it.
this.
Yes. Now
Okay.
it is what Elon Musk wants the future to be. Okay. So like each company owns like a planet. And so you can only buy that company's products on the planet, but some of the guns are like shit because they're like, this is all you can buy.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do
where
about it?
else you gonna go?
You go
Yeah.
to the shopkeeper, he's like, welcome to planet da da da. I have to say this or else they'll kill me. Like
It's a vending machine. It's not a person. Right
Yeah.
choice is Spacer's choice.
There's good games with like social commentary like that. I'm just saying you can try something new. My legacy is just I want to leave questions. I want
like riddle me this, Batman.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
well, maybe actually,
Puzzle
that's an
on your
idea.
tombstone.
Oh no, I could stick like a paper between like my butt cheeks or something for like the coroner, like the morgue guy. Be like knock knock.
Like, you know, when people do those like top 5 lists of weird paranormal stories, and they're like, we found this inside our corpse, and it was a mystery that was never solved, and yeah, like something like that. Yeah.
Oh no, that's what I need to do. I need to ask my husband to slip it in when I'm dead because
Yeah.
like they'll check me at the hospital and stuff and then transfer me. So like I can't have it at the hospital. So yeah, I'll have to talk with Chris.
when
You
he's
get-
doing his
get
live.
like a fake alien looking thing
Yeah,
inside you.
just stuff it in. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Don't worry about it.
I just mean more like I want like so much just random shit that like when people have to go through it once I'm dead, they're like looking through it and they're like, why does she have this?
So you want to be a
What
hoarder?
is this? Yeah, well, I not a hoarder. I don't want them to have to clean up like random animal shit and stuff. I want it to be interesting stuff. I want it to be stuff where they're like, maybe we should keep this, or maybe so and so would like this, you know, or I wonder if this is valuable. It's probably not, but they might wonder, you know, like that's what I'm saying.
At least one really cursed looking doll.
Oh yeah,
Just like something where somebody's certain where they're like, no, that thing's haunted.
like this.
Yes. Oh my god. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, he sits right here for me.
And you're not afraid it's gonna come and kill you in the middle of the night?
He's been sitting there this whole time.
Oh,
He's
okay.
like,
He hasn't moved yet.
Yeah.
Then his eyes shift over. You know.
My clients have like a doll that sits on their bed. And like every time I go to tidy their room, I turn on the light and this bitch is like, bah, every time. I know it's there, but it's like,
In my mom's house, because like years ago, I happened to get her a like life-size cutout of Austin Powers. And that's still in her house, and she has it in like this spare room that sometimes like the way the light catches it, if the light is at it, it's a silhouette of a man just standing there. Freaks me out every time. I've never gotten used to it.
I have Dobie facing I live off a busy road and Dobie faces the road. And if the lights are on, it just looks like a naked toddler hanging out. Fantastic.
Oh god. Yeah, I think it's almost scarier when it's children. You know what I mean? Like,
Kids are so scary.
yeah. A ghost child is somehow more terrifying.
Okay. I've thought actually why that possibly is. And it's because, like, if it's a child and it's terrifying you and trying to kill you or something, you have to, like, hit it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with punching a child. That's
Yeah.
But, like,
Scarier to defend
scary.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, if no one's watching, right? You just beat up a child.
I do it. I don't go.
That's terrifying to me. I don't want to accidentally beat up a child. I was like, I thought he was a ghost.
Like, why are they creeping? Okay, it's your own fault. I just point that out there.
Oh, God. I'm glad that like we don't live in a country where everybody has guns in their house. Given this conversation, it's just like blam, 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 and it's
That happens so much that it's like
literally though. Like that is like an occurrence. Like it's daily life down there. What a weird place. I sometimes think I like, just when I think about the US sometimes, because like it's so similar to us, and then like stuff like that happens just on the regular that we would also never dream of, like happening in our daily lives, right? Like where it's just something that happens so often that they don't necessarily report in the news because it's like, oh, this happens
It's just a
every day.
Tuesday. Whatever.
Yeah.
I fight with my in-laws a lot. They're slowly moving. Like they went from like hard conservative to like liberal, so I'm slowly trying to inch them over.
You're wearing them down.
Yeah, I do my best. But a lot of the times, because the problem is they're Bill Maher fans, and they consider him more of like a left-leaning guy because he's like the everyday man, and
he is like, so right of center, especially as of recent. Over the past few years, that guy has definitely been leaning right.
A lot of people thought he was left because of his 9/11 comments and stuff like that at the time.
And militarization of police, he used to talk a lot of good stuff about that.
But people used to think Joe Rogan was left wing because of his fucking weed takes. Like it's but these people don't understand. But it was like, so they're big into Bill Maher. So I'm always they'll like complain about China, and I'm like, did you know that in the United States they also have sweatshops and child labor? Like, what's your complaint?
In fact, they passed new laws that made it easier to have child labor.
Well, because McDonald's kept getting sued. So I'm sure McDonald's lobbied someone to like be like, hey, we don't want to keep getting sued for this child labor thing. Can you fix that for us?
So
I can't believe this is real life. Like half the time I'm like, is this a Black Mirror episode?
Yeah, and I think that's like almost like the weird thing about it, where it's almost like you grow up watching this media where it's like watching these dystopian futures, and you're like, kind of thinking in a weird way, oh yeah, this is where it's headed. Ha ha ha.
He made jokes.
Right? Yeah. But really, that's like literally what it was. Like
that's what happened.
It started as cool sliding doors on Star Trek, and then it's like, oh, they made that real, and then they made like all the other terrible stuff real too.
Yeah, we joke about that a lot.
A lot of people seem to like not understand how people can be so stupid nowadays. Like they're like, how are they buying all of this? Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, when movies like first came out, people thought the train was going to come out of the screen.
Yeah.
Like this has always been a thing. Like this is the majority of the population. Okay. It took them a while. Eventually they figured out, oh, this is actually just cool because I get to be close to a train without the fear of it running me over. Like, there's always been
what a train looks like. Having to go and see one.
And now the problem is they all have a voice now. Before it was just like the news reported on it. Now it's they all can post about it and then enter their own echo chambers and just make each other louder.
Yeah. And that's like it speaks to the validity of government regulation in a way. Like I'm kind of, I guess some people would describe it as a sort of authoritarian. In a way. Yeah. Like sort of, right? But like in the way of like, when broadcasting became a thing, it was so regulated. Like even if you had a citizen radio, you had to have a license to operate that. You had to have a license to have your voice broadcast over the airwaves, and have some accountability to what you were putting out there in the world. And with the advent of social media and everything, that virtually doesn't exist. There's no accountability to what you
Zero
say.
Filter, like it's just like, whatever.
Yeah, like I could go on Twitter and say the most insane, asinine thing you've ever heard in your life, and the worst that's going to happen is maybe like some people make fun out of me. But then there's going to be all these people that are like, hell yeah, brother,
Yeah, we talk about our dictatorship all the time.
One day. That's my legacy, or what I want to leave
That's
behind.
always the snag about dictators, though, right? Because as we all always like love to think to ourselves that if I ran the zoo, it would be run properly.
Yeah.
and it's gonna work. And
I just want the chance, man.
yeah. I wouldn't abuse the power if you just gave it to me, man.
Well, it'd just be like how about the four of us? It's like a dictatorship. We're all 25% in,
Yeah.
Like a council?
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Like a
thing. If you have a
council.
dictatorship, you got to have some sense of accountability. But like even that, like you look at Roman times with you had your Caesar. If
guy.
Caesar was really bad, you just stabbed him. Right, that was kind of the going thing. if you were like a king and ultimate totalitarian sort of authority force, and you went way over the edge, they would have alternative means of removing you eventually.
Now I know to be around you, I should wear body armor because you're gonna stab me to my position.
Okay,
Yeah.
we've done this where it's like who's
I think
most.
you do something bad.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We talk about like beating up certain people all the time if we see them. It's on site.
Yeah.
Because like
I think there's a few people where it's just universally accepted.
Right. Like I don't think you could go to jail and you'd be the good guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, there's always going to be a bunch of people who think you're bad, right? Like, even serial
peasants.
killers get weird. Serial killers get like weird fan people writing to them and stuff like that. So like, no matter how evil you are, you're going to have some people that are in your corner for some reason. But like, if I were to like go and like, beat some Nazi in the face or something like that, there's going to be people who are upset about that. But I think for the most part, people would be pretty cool with it.
Yeah, I think the problem is like centrists or liberals or whatever, because they're always like, oh, but violence is never the answer. And I'm like, you got weekends off. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Bombs went off in the street to make like weekends happen, right?
What do you mean violence isn't the answer?
The only problem I have with violence is that by now we shouldn't need it. Like everyone should have their rights already instead of going downhill.
Is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
I know, like it's just like, but it needs to be done. I personally can't be violent.
We are not advocating for anything. This is not legal advice.
Well,
legal advice.
When you let violent people, like psychopathic people, run the game for as long as we have, this is the corner you kind of work yourself in, right? Like, they're not going to let go of.
Yeah, it's either fight back or like be beat down.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how far does that go? Where are people's breaking point at this point in time? Because obviously a century ago, people's breaking point was, trying to earn weekends and doing what they had to do to get there. But like, where is ours? Because we're getting worse all the time.
We're letting more slide.
Yeah. Well, our healthcare is disappearing in Canada. Like our guaranteed health insurance is disappearing. Housing is getting worse. Like, unfortunately, as far as our constitution is concerned, housing has never been considered an absolute right, but healthcare to some extent has, like that's been a normalized, ubiquitous part of Canadian life, where I remember like maybe a decade or two ago, even if you were a conservative politician, to even talk about defunding healthcare, it's a non-starter.
Everything moved. Everything fucking moved. That Overton window completely fucking just blasted. Like it wasn't even a light shift. It's fucking all the way right. Yeah. Like now our leftist parties are center right. Like what the fuck? What are we supposed to do with
Trudeau is not that liberal really overall.
The NDP is not that NDP of NDP. Like
even the NDP, they were like the Socialist Party of Alberta, no less. Like they came out, they were born and bred in Alberta. Look where Alberta is today.
Yeah.
Like Texas, Florida of Canada.
Every time I'm on TikTok and an NDP member comes up on my TikTok talking about the housing crisis and shit, I'm like, how can you justify having landlords as members of your party during a housing crisis? Not a fucking one ever responds. I think I'm blocked by one, actually. Like
it's considered so normal, right? Like, you grow up, like I remember even as a person that never had a prospect of buying a house, you're kind of told this idea that owning a house and owning property that's your retirement plan. That's where you invest, and that's where your money goes. And everybody was sold on that idea, right? So like, yeah, owning property, that's where it's at. That's what you got to do. That's how a working person gets ahead. And they sold you on a pretty bullshit game.
Yeah, well, when we were kids, it was possible. Like, you worked at Stelco, you could afford a house.
Yeah, my dad worked at DeFasco his entire life, and had a pretty good standard of living because of that. But anyone entering that same company today,
no, they don't.
No.
Well, it's the same lie they sold us about education. Like, hey, take out all these loans, you get a degree, you'll have a high-paying job. You know what? I got a degree and $40,000 worth of loans. I did end up paying those off only because I sold a song, so thank fucking God. But like, or else I'd still be like owing $20,000, and it's like insane that like those loans can't go away. You can't claim them on bankruptcy. The most you can do is cause them to pause your interest, but you have to reapply every 6 months. Like
that's what I'm writing. I'm like, one day my loans will be paid off.
Right. My dad was paying his loans into like his 40s. I don't even know. And like he might still be paying them off. Like it's.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a couple friends
20 years before me. Like it's insane.
I got 5 years left, and it should be.
Should be.
So you got a bit of light at the end of your tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it now.
My legacy,
I don't do anything with my degree.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, most people don't. It seems like it's just like the standard of a certain type of employment now that I guess just not minimum wage requires that you have a degree. It doesn't seem to matter necessarily which one, but just the fact that you went to college is enough to boost a certain standard of living by maybe a few $1,000s a year, evidently,
if you're lucky.
If you can find a job.
Well, that's why I never went to college or university, because like a lot of my friends went there right after high school, and I took a couple of years where I was like, I'm going to think about what I want to take because my family's poor, and if I go into this debt, I want to make sure I'm making some sort of financially viable decision. And then after a few years of that, where I've seen my friends come out of university and they got no freaking jobs like for their degrees. I'm just like, okay, maybe I won't do that.
It's funny because I had the opposite, but I did have I was poor and I ended up pregnant in high school. And so my thought process was, well, I have to get a degree now or else I'm going to be that loser teen mom that never went to school. So I ended up pushing it. And then in the end, again, my husband, master's degree. Doesn't do anything with it. Like he does music. Like it's not useless. I don't want to say it's useless. Some people need it, but it should be free in that case. So in our dictatorship.
In our school, it's a lot more affordable than down south. So and that's what scares me when you see because I almost you can view a lot of American politics as the social experiment to what any conservative would want to try and accomplish here. And if they see that as something that works in the sense of it's good for the economy, but strips lower classes, they'll try and accomplish it here, and it seems like to some level of success they're able to do that.
Yeah, like my stepdad was a member of the Convoy, so
Convoy is really just like your MAGA QAnon come north. That's really what it is.
Proud
in
Boys, or whatever they're called. Was it the Cowboys in their name? Yeah.
Well, don't forget, Proud Boys was founded by a Canadian. So
it actually originated in Canada.
Yeah. Don Marie has moved to water. I don't know if our audience should know. The Don Marie show had so much alcohol.
Back and forth, okay.
She's just staying hydrated. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to hang over.
Just like water. Just water.
Just a little water. Okay.
Don, do you have a legacy?
You know mine. It's gonna be
yours, but the audience
smut.
might not. We're not mind readers here, Don.
I just want my fairy porn and monster smut to live on. That's it.
Yeah, Jimmy. Dawn is writing a book. She's big.
Okay, but I'm not writing in those genres though.
No.
What kind of book is it?
It's dark romance.
Oh, nice. I like it.
She's very popular on Book
Secret
Talk.
Society. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's taking me some time, but I've been writing every single day, and so far so good. I got 7,000 words in.
That's
You're
amazing.
already a published
That's a great
author.
start.
Oh yes, and I'm already a published author with Sonia.
I'm sorry, I don't have the book with me to grab. To
Show it off. I think mine's upstairs.
It's over there. It's covered. Yeah, they
No,
wrote like a coffee table book about like parenting jokes.
Complaining
It's
about
really
parenting.
satire.
Yeah, complaining about parenting. This is why we say don't have children. And we just mean that in like an endearing way, as in if I knew what I know now about where the world would be, probably wouldn't.
It just escalated so damn quick. It was a little bad. We're like, it's okay. We got rainbows and sunshines. But then like, it just went dark real quick.
Real quick.
And it like, I hate to say it, but that's like it. The world going dark was kind of, I feel like, helped push political thought more into social consciousness. Like I know a lot of people that I know, and some of it didn't work out because they ended up right wingers.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say
a lot of people that never thought about politics before, how it affected their lives, started to, and some are starting. They just don't know where to put that blame yet. So I'm hoping they find avenues.
I feel like a lot of it starts with like this idea that, especially when you're first getting familiar with government, it's so easy and it's this very sound bitey kind of like catchphrasey way of putting things, that the government is the source of your problems. And it's like whether that more or less may be empirically true, when you start from a statement like that, you kind of go forward thinking, any form of government is going to be a problem. And when you go forward from that thinking, you start like, you get into like, oh, regulation is a problem. Holding people accountable is a problem. And anything outside of, protecting like me from crime and what the police might do on the street basis, I don't want any semblance of government in my life. And through moving through that avenue, you end up at right wing.
Are you my dad?
That's the pipeline. That's the pipeline, though. Like when you start thinking about government bad, and that's the basis of your ideology, you can't help but to move forward in a right-wing manner. Because if you're thinking about it from a we take care of each other community point of view, well, what does a community do when they come together and plan and organize things? That's government. That's what that is. So yeah,
I find, and like a lot of past propaganda and stuff as well makes it, a lot of people have trouble understanding concepts if you use particular words. So you have to like,
socialism is a bad word.
Yeah, don't talk about socialism, communism, nothing
bad.
like that. You have to talk about like sharing is caring.
Yeah,
do unto others as they have done unto you. Like you have to navigate these social spaces without using these words, because if you say them, red scare, and it's like, you weren't even born then. Shut up. Like, what the hell?
It's funny how it shows like that how much media red scare has permeated, though. Right, like it's how in the consciousness it is, despite the fact that ended so long ago, ended. But yeah, people's thoughts about it, their attitudes passed on to their children about it. Hearing about how like Stalin was going to be the ruin of the world and whatever, and it that sinks in. I was actually having a debate with somebody, like a mutual on Twitter, where we were both respectful of each other's opinions, but he started going off on the thing where it was like, USSR was fascist, and it's just like, there's a lot of criticisms to make about the USSR, but to conflate them with fascists in that sort of political science definition, you're getting into blurry territory. You can get into misleading information as to what communism is and what those things actually are supposed to mean and what they are, and that's a form of propaganda in itself. Like the fact that so many people, when you think of fascism, it conjures the USSR, it conjures communism almost in a synonymous way, even though they're dialectically opposed ideologies.
Yeah, like I think the problem is like a lot of people don't understand some of these like sorry.
Words?
Yeah, they don't understand the fucking words.
Yeah.
And they use
And the
them though.
terms.
They use them, and they act so confidently. And then when you tell them they're wrong, they're like, no. And then you can show them a literal Google definition, and then they'll be like, oh, that's part of big Google. But did you check page 46?
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's like there's no
Rebel
there's
News
no
has
winning.
something else to say about that.
Yeah, like literally that was arguing with my stepdad. Like we even had a TikTok back and forth because I straight up asked the question to Convoys, ended up getting over 100K like views, and I was just like, okay, say you take over the government, everything, whatever. What policy would you put in place to like protect disabled people? You know, like you have to put a policy in place. You're the government now. What is your question? You know, and a lot of the one trucker actually did ask questions, and he ended up siding with me after a couple back and forth. But my stepdad went on this long tangent about how the government's like a problem and everything you just said, and I was like, no, you're the government now. What's your policy?
Yeah,
nothing. Because they
well,
can't.
that's the conservative like or far right our ideology is like just if you get rid of all of it and then people are self-governing, that's the end of all our problems.
Look at Burning Man.
Yeah,
how's that working for you?
yeah. When you think past it at all, like you know, one of the best examples to think of it as, like when somebody's anti-authoritarian, where they want no government to exist at all. I say, okay, I have a house and you live next door to me, and one day I say that your fence is on my property, you're impeding on my property, and we're going to have a problem if you don't do something about it. And they go, well, I disagree. Who adjudicates that? Who settles this? Are we just going to kill each other? Are we just going to escalate this in violence?
Strongest of the fittest.
Yeah.
I mean that sometimes happens now. Like
yeah. It sometimes happens now, even given everything else, right? But that's like, you know, because people have this sense about what mine is mine, and you know and I don't want anybody having a say in it. And it's like that's the thing about living in society, though, is that other people are going to have a say in certain things, no matter what. Like even modern discourse about like education and stuff and parents' rights, and it's like, you know, your children have rights outside of you being their parent. And that causes a certain reactionary person to freak out. Like, no, I have total ownership over my child.
This human being.
Yeah. And it's just like, but you don't though. They
don't think of their children as another human. They think it as an accessory to them. That's
exactly.
It's
their property to shape and mold as they see fit. Yeah.
And then you become like the family disappointment when it doesn't turn out very well.
That's literally why children shouldn't be your legacy, because it's like
that's right.
They're not a part of you. They're separate
they may
people.
turn out to be in different ways than you want, but that's like, you know, I'm definitely different than either of my parents are in a lot of ways, and but nonetheless I am blessed in the sense of like I have pretty progressive folks. I don't have reactionary parents. They're pretty like left-leaning liberal in a lot of ways, lifelong NDP voters, you know, that for whatever that means today. But you know, I was lucky in that sense, where I know that despite the fact that I am living very different lifestyle than they did, they're not going to, you know, excommunicate me because of it, or berate me because of it, you know. Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like for other people that
I was very lucky that way too. Like no matter the kind of person I was like going to be, it was always like, be who you want to be, help others, don't criticize other people for who they want to be. Like as long as you're not hurting anybody, mind your own business. Like that's pretty much the best life lesson that has been passed on to me.
I think like what set it in for me when I was young, I have this like weird core memory of like I consider it a core memory, but still certain details about it are fuzzy. But I remember like probably the first time in public hearing and seeing a Chinese person speaking Chinese and saying in my like 3 or 4 year old child mind, oh, that sounds funny. And I remember my mom saying back to me, well, you might sound pretty funny to them too. And like that was the sort of moment where it's like
empathy.
Other people see me and perceive me, and the way I behave and communicate with the world is going to be understood in certain ways, and it's just like, oh yeah, empathy. I know, like, yeah, I see you, you see me, you know, and it's weird how some people, I don't know, seem to miss that somehow. I don't know how it happens.
It's a learned behavior. Unfortunately, humans often are born with empathy. Like it's not something we naturally have, and we need to be, as society, teach it, or it doesn't get learned. Like it's
and a lot of humans have trouble like I don't know what it is, but a lot of people will say shit even though they did shit. So a lot of these transphobic people have cross-dressed in their life. Like my stepdad in the convoy. Hey, I remember when you and my mom switched genders for Halloween? And like then he goes on this transphobic rant, and I'm like, I remember when you dressed as a woman. What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's, you know, they're like, oh, drag queens, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but you did drag. But they
drag is literally just like modern clown. But it's you know, associated with queerness inherently because, you know, of course, and you know, it's history and stuff like that. But that's the only difference is gay. That's what it comes down to. They're not mad that clowns exist. They're mad that it's gay.
A lot of clowns are perverts, you know? Like
but they don't have a problem with perverts. They have a problem with gay.
But like being like somebody who like dresses in drag, like that has nothing to do with your sexuality or gender identity. It's just a different part of your life. And like it's just people who try to like add on to this, like, don't talk to me about this because you're clearly not educated on the subject. Like, come back to me when you learn some things. Like, it's you can't talk to people who don't have the education or want to be educated on it. You're just like, okay, you're whatever.
Reactionaries always want to debate, and debates never change the other person's mind.
No.
So like, it's like I only argue if I know other people are going to look at that. Because I want to change the audience's mind, not the person I'm debating. They're never going to change their mind. Now, if I'm having a conversation with someone and they're actually interested and they like, that's not a debate. That's a fucking conversation.
That's right.
If you are like ignorant but receptive, that's totally different than I have this hardened ideology and I'm going to argue with you about it. That's two very different levels of energy there.
Exactly. That's why it's like I used to debate a lot on Facebook, and I just got tired. Like I couldn't do it anymore. I was like,
I don't even go on Facebook now because it's so
I'm still fighting the
you know, anybody
from
from my like network like that was going to block me because of political disagreements already has at this point. I'm far enough in my life that anybody those people have either blocked me or I blocked them.
Even family, we don't even get invited to things anymore. Like
literally the only reason I still talk to my in-laws, they are learning. So we argue, but they still invite me back for dinner. And you know, we're working on it. Like, but like certain people in my life, like my libertarian father, don't want to learn. So that's when they're like blocked.
And I like, and as I get like up there in age, I'm 37 now, and as I like get closer to 40, and I remember my own parents turning 40, and that whole stereotype of how you get more reactionary as you get older. I start to worry about that, where it's like, as a millennial or the Gen Zers and the what is it, Gen Alpha now, I think they call it.
There's another.
Am I going to be their boomer? Am I going to be the one that's like socially backwards by their standards?
But that's the goal. The goal is to be on the other side.
But am I going to be receptive to that when I'm at that age? That, like, you know, I hope I am. I hope I am still at a point where I can be receptive.
If she's listening, you're not that old, Grandma. But like, she's very understanding of like new concepts, and like I think if that's your mindset to begin with, if you're very open-minded and loving of all, you continue that mindset. Like that's how your brain works.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be okay. Like that's not like
That's why, like, you know, when you think of like 10, 15 years ago, where like, you know, oh, this comedian or whatever made like transphobic jokes or something. If it was 10, 15 years ago, I'm a lot more forgiving of it if they haven't continued to play that note today. Because it's like, yeah, by certain social standards, that stuff passed. You probably didn't know any better as it's become part of the popular lexicon and you changed your ways. Cool, man. If you're like still leaning into that though, like the cancel mob is coming to get me, then that's like, yeah.
Maybe
I have less forgiveness for that.
Yeah.
Much less forgiveness for that.
Yeah, it's like Hank Azaria, I think how you pronounce it. He voiced Apu.
Apu, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that
that
exact
was-
sort of thing.
And he was defensive right away when people started criticizing it, and it took him a little bit, but now he comes out and he's like, you know what? There was blind spots there I didn't see.
Sure, there was a lot of positive things about Apu. Like I grew up watching The Simpsons.
That was the only like
and
I grew up in white
as
town.
far as South Asian people being represented on
it.
television, he was one of the only ones. And it sure, like they played into a stereotype, sure, but he was also like a respected member of the community, canonized to be pretty smart and like
a good father at points.
Good father, even an exhausted father, but that was sort of the parody of it, that you have 8 children, of course you're going to be an exhausted father. But like, yeah, so like for me, and I guess sort of coming from a progressive perspective like that, I sort of always looked at them as positive, but then again, so did Hank Azaria probably, right? And you don't think about the negative aspects and how that might feel to people who actually are South Asian, and you have to step out of yourself and understand that it's like, oh, how I see things is not how
but now he
sees
comes out and he talks about that. He talks about, you know what, I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I didn't write that character, I didn't create that character, I didn't hire myself, but for the part that I contribute to it, it was wrong and I missed it as a white guy. Like he talks about that now. And so like I can forgive him for that. You know, it's like when they just ignore it, I still don't forgive him.
Yeah, if you're like, you know, in 2023 putting on blackface or something and then trying to be like, but I didn't know. It's kind of like really?
How would you not? Like...
I find that much harder to believe than I would have in the 80s or 90s, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. So we're getting almost up on the hour. Does anyone else have any legacies they want to live with besides trying to build an anti-racist, anti-classist,
and not leaving pictures of yourself in blackface behind or something?
That's right.
Yeah.
Very important.
If you did those, delete those, like, you know what? Just be safe. Just any of pictures with you doing a face mask of a dark color, just delete them. Like,
you don't
want the risk.
You don't have to put that charcoal mask on Instagram.
Yeah.
You don't.
No.
You don't
really
have to do that. You know, that's a privacy thing.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. I just want to plug that Books and Booze is back. So check that out on Thursdays with Dawn and whichever one of us is available.
It's always Dawn.
Dawn makes everyone, and the author. The authors are there.
Oh yeah,
so
the guest is there.
the guest is there. So so Books and Booze, where the author gets to read a little bit of their book and we get to interview them and talk about the writing process, as well as I want to once again plug our Patreon where we have our pre-drinks, and React series is back now that there's no storms. Yay! So follow us on Patreon. You get all the bonus content at the lowest tier. But if you are at the VIP tier, like here, Stephanie Hurst.
Good tongue twister.
That's Stephanie Hurst, our VIP Patreon, who will soon be on an episode of Books and Booze, which I'm excited for.
October 7th is when she's recording with us, I think.
Oh, so that episode will probably be out in mid to late October. So
Halloween.
Ooh, so
everybody should wear
you.
A costume for that.
Oh, we wear costumes every
yeah.
October episode. Don't you worry. And if you want to see those costumes, check out our YouTube. Make sure to follow us. That's where you can find our live streams, our shorts, and all of our bonus content and unedited episodes. And now I'm going to give this moment to Jimmy so he can plug all of his stuff.
Okay, yeah, got the album coming out next month. Click the link below or copy and paste or write it in your browser, and follow me on all the various platforms. My music is on all the streaming services. Full album coming out sometime next month. I haven't officially scheduled that yet. And then I got some shows coming up in October. November 2nd at the Bovine, November 4th at Doors Pub in Hamilton. And you might want to go to that.
I'm going to Hamilton.
And October 9th here in my present city of Ottawa at the House of Targ.
Nice. Okay. We will have the link in the description. So you can click that and keep up to date with all of Jimmy and the Rough Go. I watch the Rough Report whenever it's on live.
Yes.
So
follow the YouTube channel also in the link.
Yeah, it will be in the description. So follow that YouTube channel so you can see when the Rough Report is live, so you can watch Jimmy talk more about politics. Yay! And sometimes Nat.
Yes, Nat often joins me. She's not here at the house tonight. She's gone to visit family, and yeah, so she left me here to my own devices and to try and chase the cat that ran outside.
You lost the cat.
Yeah, lost the cat.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next week with a new episode. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.